Hi there, Sean Kevelighan again with a Triple I Executive Exchange. I'm excited to share with you today about a company that we had presented the Joint Industry Forum. Here with me is James Bilodeau. He's the founder and CEO of PreFix. They focus on helping homeowners manage their home maintenance, which, if you are a homeowner, you know can either be extraordinarily challenging, but also if you don't keep up with it, it becomes extraordinarily expensive as well. So, James, thanks for joining us.
Sean, thanks for having me here.
So talk about, I gave my 2-second spiel on PreFix, and when we heard you talk at the Joint Industry Forum, I found it fascinating. So talk about how you came about the company and how it got its start.
Sure. We initially designed a low-cost leak detection system well before any commercially viable ones were in market. We piloted it here in Austin, but we're insistent on embedding it in a service layer. So the homeowner basically just can outsource maintenance of their home. So the premise was that you aren't solving a customer problem if an alert goes off and say you or I were sitting here, then we have to figure out what to do and then navigate through the wilderness of marketplaces, disparate contractors, figure out what's needed or what's a fair price to get. So listening to our customers, we soon realized that it was the service offering, just putting your home on autopilot, that was most valuable for the homeowner, increasingly younger homeowners that are perhaps less skilled in taking care of their homes. This makes intuitive sense. It's not just about the hardware. It's about stripping the hassle and much of the cost out of maintaining your home. So with PreFix, we've created this relationship-based approach to home care. Very different than incumbent home warranties or marketplace models. And it ultimately creates what we call last mile infrastructure for the home. You get your own dedicated home manager. It's sort of a primary care physician for your home. We place an emphasis on hiring military veterans with impeccable records and a strong work ethic. If anything breaks, you just call, text, or email, however you'd like. Your home manager takes care of it, usually for just a small copay. So no online searches, no contractor blind dates, and no wondering if you've gotten the best possible price. Your home manager also comes to your home, performs a 30-point preventive maintenance twice a year. And by 30 points, I mean clean your AC condenser and condensate line, change your air and water filters, flush the sediment out of your water heater, clean the lint out of your dryer outtake, sanitize your washer and dishwasher with a natural cleansing agent, change all the batteries in your smoke alarms, and I'll stop there. It takes only 10 minutes. For the minority of things that your home manager can't do, you get one of our vetted contractors. We manage them all the way through to completion, and you get low negotiated rates with no markup.
Well, I think you've listed about 10 things that I do not personally do on a regular basis. So I'm sure I'm going to be looking into this more often, for sure. Now, we talk a little bit, or not just a little bit, a lot actually, at Triple I and throughout the industry about how we're shifting from detecting and repairing after catastrophe to predicting and preventing. Can you talk a little bit how you're seeing PreFix mitigate losses?
Sure. While we eliminate hassle and much of the cost for homeowners by meeting them where they are and what they care about, we then earn the right to solve key problems for insurers through this last mile infrastructure we've created. The preventive maintenance program I touched upon briefly, it mitigates many non-catastrophic losses and can be modified according to insurer preferences or the profile of homes in a given territory that we operate in. So lint in the dryer outtake, I believe second leading cause of fire in some areas. By some accounts, a third of all smoke alarms are inactive or dysfunctional in many homes. Water heaters can be a source of very high cost claims. And HVAC condensate lines are a common source of leaks. Those are just some examples. All of these are taken care of the homes that we service. From providers we've talked to as well, telematics adoption, as compelling as it is, which is our genesis, has very low adoption still. So some talk about adoptions, providers in the single digits or teens. So as promising as some of the telematics, be it point detection or flow detection is, we're just not seeing the penetration rates that insurers would like to see.
Yeah, it is interesting. We do some research through the Insurance Research Council that shows, actually on the auto side, but that's been around for decades, probably more, arguably, there's much more acceptance than in the home side of it right now. So that is a struggle. But even with that low take up what you guys are seeing with the data and the predictive analytics. So it's not just the prevention measure, but you're also getting data that predicts even further. Do I understand that right?
That's right. That's exactly right. And so again, this idea of the last mile is very important to our model and to our insurance partners. So we saw, and you'll know these numbers probably better than I, but better predictive modeling brought about a 5% reduction in the combined ratio in the last 5 years. It makes sense that here's where we would see the greatest excitement and potential impact through better modeling and generative AI. That said, 56% of insurance tech leaders, according to IBM, are increasingly concerned about the lack of proprietary data to continue to enhance their generative AI models. Basically, everyone's drawing from the same pool and reusing the same data, so there's no real proprietary data advantage. While aggregation is useful, which is what a lot of providers do, many of the component inputs like home inspection data, they degrade quickly over 2 to 5 years. Inaccuracy can then be exacerbated when the data is extrapolated to other homes using inference. The predictive models themselves are also homogenized, frequently provided by the same providers. And state regulation, of course, still necessarily exists, limiting the data that can be evaluated and the speed with which it can be used for underwriting. So we're able to offer highly granular, customized data collection on all of the homes that we service through direct observation of issues that can correlate to non-cat losses. And for instance, water damage, we identify a corroded valve on a tankless water heater and the lack of a float switch on an HVAC drain fan, or fire damage might be caused by flammables left near a water heater. Wind and hail damage could come from a nearby overhanging tree branch. They could break loose in a storm. Theft and vandalism, we can look at an exterior door and make sure that it's properly installed and secured. And then just liability risk, such as uneven or damaged exterior paving stones, or things like unauthorized businesses operating on premises. So the core service itself delights customers beyond an insurance offering with multiple high quality touches throughout the year. We're currently at an NPS of 90 and able to delight customers on behalf of our partners. And then the local territory-based model means we can also provide seamless rapid response to those alerts we mentioned and help mitigate and get to resolution quickly before extensive damage happens. In short, we're able to solve one of the biggest customer problems, lower underwriting costs by as much as 20%, and then offer them lower priced insurance.
That's great. I was going to ask you about other benefits, but I think you covered the spectrum there. So this is actually your opportunity too to ask me a couple questions.
Sure. So I remember sort of going back to join Industry Forum and some of the themes around predict and prevent. I hear frequently from folks in the P&C industry about the need to change customer behavior, and our thesis is a little bit different about meeting the customer where they are. Don't you think it would be more impactful for insurers to actually accommodate customer behavior instead, and then try to remove this friction about getting them to do the things they should?
Well, it's interesting. I think it's both. I think, in part by removing the friction, you're arguably changing the behavior, right? And so that it's kind of a cycle that works together. If you're and PreFix is a great example of that. If you're removing this friction of home maintenance, right? That I personally, and I'm sure every homeowner has challenges with. What contractor to call, who to call, when can they get there, all of that type of stuff. You all making that so that friction be removed is one thing. But the other part of it is, as you're removing that friction and you're helping the homeowner maintenance, you're teaching them better risk management. And that data that you're talking about as well, that you're giving back to them, is helping the insurance company as well as the customer predict and prevent. And in a sense, that's changing people's behavior. Anytime we can see that to bring risk management more top of mind is a behavior we want to see. So if it means removing the friction to get there, we absolutely support it.
Understood. We believe that the hassle and expense of maintaining and owning a home, probably one of the biggest consumer problems there is, and perhaps increasingly so for less DIY generations that are rising. What would it take to get insurers to solve the problem customers care most about, to solve the issues of attainability and profitability that not only customers but insurers are increasingly concerned about as premiums rise?
I think one of the biggest challenges that we would like to see overcome is actually bringing risk management into the home purchasing process much sooner. I think that's going to be probably the biggest thing that we can overcome, because what happens is the insurance process enters into the home purchasing process entirely too late. You've already found the home you want. You're envisioning yourself living there. You need a mortgage. If you get a mortgage, you got to go get the insurance. And you just want to get that insurance so you can get the mortgage, move in. But you don't think a lot about what the risk is. There is a home inspection process. I would argue that needs a whole lot of improvement, because anybody that's moved into a house most likely is surprised by risks that are in the house beyond just whether the water's turning on or such. What's the quality of the roof? What type of roof is it? Things. What are the natural catastrophe potentials in the home? A lot of those factors do not get factored into the home purchasing process. The homeowner then learns about it entirely too late, and it becomes, like I mentioned earlier, extraordinarily expensive. And if you don't have PreFix, it can be extraordinarily challenging to fix. So we would think, from an insurance perspective, if you can begin to enter risk management into the process of home purchasing much sooner and help the customer understand what they indeed are purchasing beyond the four walls of the house, the community that it's in, and all of the various risk factors, we think that could very much change and create a win-win for the insurer and the customer, because it's going, much as PreFix is focused on, reduce the losses.
Understood.
Great. Well, James, it's been a pleasure. We hope that we get to continue to work with PreFix, because you all are helping insurers and customers solve a lot of problems by managing their risk and helping that risk management become more top of mind. So appreciate you joining us here today. Appreciate you being at the Joint Industry Forum.
Likewise, Sean. Very much enjoyed the event, and appreciate you making time today.
Always. All right. Well, and thank you all for joining us for another Executive Exchange. I'm Sean Kevelighan signing off for Triple I.